Welcome to the Business Bravery Podcast, inspiring stories from coaches and course creators to help you do the next brave thing in your business. Coming up on the Business Bravery Podcast.
Even though I don't know things, my opinion still matters. I did a couple of unsuccessful launches of people wanted to know that, but they didn't want to pay for it. They wanted all that information for free. I'll be honest to people. This morning in the shower, I went away for the weekend and I've come back and I am a little bit fatigued. I will be the first one. I've come back. I'm thinking, yes. And in the shower this morning, I just decided, sorry, this is all too hard. I got out of the shower, washed the water away and said, okay, you've had that thought, move on. Your brain is throwing a toddler temper tantrum. Next 3 months, I want to start my membership in my wedding planning. Any person that says they haven't got fears is just hiding from their fears. So the money is incidental. Me seeing that dream is more powerful. So teaching them this is what they need rather than what they want, through what they want to get what they need. You are not limited to just being a mum and a wife.
What would you say to a listener who's about to do their next brave thing in their business, but they're hesitating or they're waiting for the right time? I'm your host, Tiffany G from Tiffany G Studios, a client attraction specialist with 10 years experience in online marketing. I help coaches turn followers into high-ticket clients with the 5-figure launch framework. I coach, consult, and provide marketing services. Today, I'm talking with Beryl Hedger, a master neuro coach and service provider across 2 amazing businesses, and she'll tell us all the details later. Who's ready for some business bravery inspiration? Okay, let's dive in. Okay, I am here with the lovely, amazing Beryl Hedger from Forever Yours Flowers and BBK Mentoring, and has had multiple 6-figure businesses in the past and all that kind of stuff. And she's going to tell us all about that and her perspectives on bravery and fears, jumping off a cliff and failures and all the good things to help us all be inspired to do the next brave thing in our businesses and all lives, but definitely businesses. So let me dive in. My question 1 here, and for anybody who's watching this on video, if I'm looking at my questions, which are to the right. So tell us about your business and what brave things are you doing right now?
What brave things am I doing right now? I actually don't know what's brave and what's not anymore, which is really quite funny because that's just where I'm at my moment of business, because I consider everything I do brave and I consider everything I do an action step. So, okay, an example. Last week, for 3 years, I've done Facebook Lives. Last week, to me, I was feeling a little bit insecure. This is a person that's done multiple hundreds, thousands of Facebook Lives, thousands of live videos. I decided I couldn't do it. There was no reason. My brain was telling me that I wasn't good enough. I couldn't do it. I shouldn't be there. Why am I doing these things? And I had to trust myself. And I know this is just simple. The people that are out there, hey, even somebody like me that has stood in front of people at expos and stood in front of people on Zoom and things like that, sometimes you just turn around and go, oh, I can't do this. You have to trust yourself. And I had to trust that when I started, it would be good. And I so got in the flow. When I started talking about it. Everything was exciting and I really got into it. 15 minutes earlier, I thought that I couldn't do it. It's just funny the way the brain works. It's the way it was trying to keep me safe and familiar. And it's safe and familiar was, you can't do this live. You're not good enough.
That's an interesting thought, isn't it? That's so familiar. Yeah.
And I think it was because of the topic. Because what I was talking about within my wedding company was I was talking about outside voices and opinions. So maybe the topic was triggering me. I don't know. And it is a pretty powerful topic when you've got to learn how to manage outside voices. And I'm not talking about my outside voices, by the way, guys. I'm not crazy. I'm talking about other people's outside voices telling me how to think and feel.
Yeah.
I consider everything I do brave, and I also consider everything I do amazing, which is really weird.
Is it weird or is it powerful?
It's powerful. It is really, it lights you up. It makes you, it just makes you feel like, okay, Tiff knows this. The audience doesn't know this. I'm a Taekwondo crazy person. I have 3 black belts. And when I step onto the mat in Taekwondo, sometimes I feel I'm going to get the patooties belted out of me. So sometimes I've even got to be brave enough to say, hey, no, I've got this. I have 3 black belts. I've been training a long time. I know how to duck. And I kind of take that into my business. Sometimes you've got to know how to duck. I'm not even sure what I mean by that. It's just a thought process that goes into, okay, last week's Facebook Live. It was just something that was knocking me. My brain was knocking me. And I said, I've just got to duck and go for it.
How do you work through that when you've got your brain telling you, oh, you can't do this, you're not good enough? It's so interesting that happened for something that you have done so many times. Like you would have done hundreds of Facebook Lives over the years. Like you've been doing Facebook Lives since at least 2019, right?
I did Facebook Lives every day because I'm in Melbourne. So I did Facebook Lives every day through lockdown for 18 months. I did 7 days a week Facebook Lives. Yet, and that is more than 356 days of the year because I can't remember how many days that would be. Anyway, we're not going to get into that. And this is me, and the maths in me wants to know that answer, but we won't get into that. I needed to actually step back. It's something I actually say to my couples when they're planning their weddings, or I say to my business people when I'm helping them with coaching with their businesses. I said, sometimes we need to take 3 steps back. And when you take those 3 steps back, it's take 3 steps back, relax, and feel, actually not relax, because the worst thing somebody can tell a bride, and I will tell this black and white, just relax. Don't be so stressed. It doesn't work. If you just take 3 seconds and said, hey, close your eyes and breathe. And when you breathe, feel your shoulders fall down. And that breathing is so powerful. And it is a mindset thing. And as a master neurocoach, I know that when I breathe, I love looking in a mirror. I want to see my shoulders go down. Basically, that's what I had to do. I had to stop. I had to breathe. I actually normally roll my chair back and go, and then I roll my chair forward and start, because I need to interrupt those thoughts that are stopping me. And if I don't interrupt them, my Facebook Lives kind of go pear-shaped because I start thinking about them. So if I'm in a Facebook Live, okay, I'm in a Facebook Live and I'm feeling that way, I will say to my audience, I just need to breathe for a couple of seconds, and then I'll pull myself forward again. I will do that in the middle of a Facebook Live because I want to show people that even when you're getting a bit stressed, it's okay to take 3 steps back and then come back and start.
That's so powerful. Did you go through that same process to get into your, like that last Facebook Live that you were struggling with? Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
In that Facebook Live, that required me washing the dishes, patting the dogs, doing some breathing exercises, and then writing a couple of notes. I wrote the notes in my head while I was washing the dishes. I didn't need to wash the dishes. There were only 3 dishes in the sink. I still washed the dishes because I felt that if I didn't step out of the office, then I was seeing things that were interfering with, as Tiff knows, and you guys don't know, I've got a habit of, I don't like the mess behind me, so I need to clean it up. That was the other thing I did. Everything was polished. And that's just me procrastinating. Put it down to it. It's me saying my brain is giving me permission to procrastinate and actually not do the Facebook Live. Find something else to do.
All right. See, because I mean, like, I don't find, like, because I also do the dishes, like I set up so I'm doing my dishes in the middle of the day before I have lunch. So it's like the things that I worked on in the morning, I let my subconscious gets to do its thing while I'm doing the dishes or cleaning up and things like that. So I don't see it as procrastination unless it's, you know, hey, I said I was going to go live at 7 and now I'm cleaning instead of going live, then it would be procrastination for me. But otherwise.
Yeah. Well, with me, I do the dishes first thing in the morning or last thing at night. So for me, it was actually me putting off writing words down, because if I didn't write the words down, I couldn't say them. So therefore, and if I don't say them, I don't have to go live.
Okay, that kind of thing I know, yeah.
I was choosing to take 5 minutes away. And that's what I was doing. I was choosing to respect me and saying, yes, this is a thought I've got at this moment of time. It's not serving me. Go away. When you pull the plug on the sink after you've done your dishes and watch that water go down, that's pulling away the things that were stopping me. It's a visual thing for my brain to say, hey, why are you doing that? The dishes are finished now. Go sit down, go live. And the thought that popped in my head is, at least I can do 5 minutes live. I spoke for 23 minutes.
Nice.
Because once I got into the flow, once I realised that I was breathing, I realised how many people I could help. And so therefore I'm going, hey, what can we do here? And yeah, I know, hey, I have people step in my studio that tell me that my outside voices, my stuff should not be done that way. I'm a master textile artist, and they tell me the stuff I've been doing for 50 years is there's a better way of doing it. There may be a better way of doing it, but there's also my way of doing it, which means I excel in what I do. And if you want to do it that way, that's fine. I don't. And actually standing up to somebody that says that you've been wrong for 50 years can be actually pretty hard to handle. Well, it used to be. It's not anymore.
Oh, nice. Before we dive into that, though, I just wanted to ask you about you said that you thought about how many people you could help. Is that the why that gets you, like, what's the big motivation that makes you do the Facebook Live instead of just putting it off?
Yes. To be simple, yes. If I don't go live, how am I going to help them? I'm not saying I don't do it because I want a monetary come in as well, black and white. We do this work because we want to have freedom and money to do the things we want to do. If I come from a position of I'm doing this only for the money, I don't think I would ever do a Facebook Live, because I come from the position of how can I help one person today? Just breathe. And then I go, oh, this is really cute. And I do go back into my statistics. I find out I don't have a lot of people that watch me live. I have no problems with that. And I know so many people out there say, oh, nobody turned up to my Facebook Live. Go into your stats sometime. There's a lot of people that are watching you on replay. These days, I think the stats, I'm getting into maths again. Stats is about 90% watch you live and only watch you in replay and only 10% watch you live.
Yeah, so true.
It's that high now. And so what happens if I can just help one person plan something, one person press the button on their website and go live, one person that knows how to serve their customers rather than think they're a money thing, and they get more customers. Isn't that amazing? Mm-hmm. If they could get 3 customers from my live, or the bride could get 3 things organised from my live, to me, that lights me up. That's what I'm about. It's wow.
That's awesome. Just to clear up for those listening, so Beryl is running 2 businesses at the moment, where she helps brides plan their weddings, and also she does, I'm talking about your business for you.
How about I explain it? Business number 1 is Forever Yours Flowers and Event Planning. I'm a wedding planner, I'm a wedding stylist, and I'm also a master textile artist using artificial flowers to design amazing things for weddings. That's part 1. And that part of the business has multiple arms, from hiring to selling to coaching to all sorts of things. Mm-hmm. And on the business side of my business, I actually help people overcome the mindset of business fears. So I'm a master neuro-coach, so therefore I help them with the things that are getting in their way. I'm a tech nerd, so I love helping somebody that thinks that they can't go live on a Facebook. I love helping somebody that thinks they can't put up a blog post, because it's all still the same fears. It's just wrapped up into a different bundle. And the thing about it is people go, but things are so different, like between weddings and business. No, they're still the same fears. They just use different words.
Yeah, so true. It's really interesting that you're talking about helping people with the Facebook Lives and the publishing a blog post. For me, I mean, I help people with the launching, which can encompass all of those little micro decisions that can trip somebody up. You know, I had one client one time, I mean, you might remember this or you might not, Beryl, but for those listening probably won't know, that I had one client, she had an email list that she'd been building for 6 years and had been too scared to email them even one time. And then it was like through us working together that she was actually like, okay, I'm going to tackle this fear. I'm going to get into the tech. I'm going to understand it. And then it was, oh yeah, I got into it and it was easier than I expected. And now I've emailed them and this whole new opportunity opened up for her upcoming launch. And yeah, it's just really interesting how like we can have bravery and fear and things, and it can affect us on these small, like arguably small, but then they're kind of big too, things, as well as the whole thing too. Just, didn't know we were going to go here. That's so cool.
And that's a little bit what it's about. Because I don't do launches with my clients because it's not my area of expertise. I send them to you because that's just not that. As I say to people, it doesn't float my boat because I'm just not interested in that sort of thing, because I love the mindset of, okay, example, somebody wouldn't go running with me. We're going to keep this simple because they were scared they'd buy the wrong runners. I took them shopping and they brought a pair of runners. They still didn't go running with me. I think that was but they had this mindset around, you're better than me, so I can't start running.
That's really interesting, isn't it?
And if the people that are listening to this, if you think about it, that's in business. I can't send an email because what will they think of me? They haven't heard from me for ages. They will think I'm spamming them. No, you're helping them. You are spamming them if you go, I haven't spoken to you for 3 years, so will you buy from me, buy from me, buy from me? That's a little bit different. Nurturing the people that have actually wanted to join your email list is just talking to them, being friends with them, give them some advice. That is really cool. Oh, okay. I'm getting into a bit of business coaching here, aren't I?
No, that's awesome. I'm also sitting here with an email list who I haven't emailed in some time because I pivoted my business, and All right, let's not think about that. Let's get back to bravery.
Okay, let's get back to bravery.
Yeah.
Are you brave enough to send out an email?
Actually, yeah. As we were talking about it, I was just thinking about how I can't wait to send those people the information to access this podcast. Once it goes up, then at least I'm coming in with hey, you haven't heard from me for a long time, but here's something that could be really valuable for you guys, and here's what we talked about. Like, that's part of why I didn't want to create a podcast that was just about launching. I like the idea of looking at the bravery side and the fears and the failure, like especially failure, because I believe to get through to success, it's like fail, 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 success. But when you're in the middle of the failures, it's like I need to hear stories of the successes on the other side too. Do you know what I mean? So this is where I'm coming from. So,
and that's so true. And this is where you kind of talk about failures, where I go, oops, they were little boo-boos. What did we learn from them? Because that's, again, the power of the negative word. Okay, a client of mine kept doing a similar thing. Okay, and what was she? I can't remember the example. Oh, okay, we were using the word but, and she didn't know how to rewire the word but in her brain. And I said, what happens if you give it less significance? And she goes, what do you mean? And I said, every time you say but, what happens if you go whoopsies? I had a conversation with her the other day. She was trying to put up her landing page and she was going, but it's not finished, but it's not this, and stuff like that. And the thing is, every time she said but, I changed it to whoopsie. She said, now every time I say it, I giggle. So rather than it having a interruption and stopping me from moving forward, it sounds like a bit of a joke going, yeah, I just got to keep going. And it's interesting just to listen to her now because she actually puts it in her conversation. And that's the mindset around removing a block. And I do the same thing for myself. When I've got a block, I actually write. I'll write 3 things I need to do.
Okay.
I don't say whoopsie.
So just explain to me, or for those listening who maybe don't know all of the mindset stuff, you don't have to give us all your secrets, but why is removing the but important? And the same with the 3 things to do. Why is that so important?
Removing the negative thought, removing the but, the reason it's important, especially the power of, I actually want to get that word removed from the English language. So I'm very passionate about that particular word because the brain never sees the words before the but. So you may have had the most amazing win before the but. I'll use my art studio as an example. I had the most amazing client that came in today, and she purchased from me the most amazing design, but she wanted a discount and I didn't give it to her. What I heard was not that I did an amazing design. She wanted a discount and I didn't give it to her. So therefore, I don't deserve the sale. That was where I was going with that. The power of removing. Don't get me wrong, I got the sale because I don't offer discount for handmade work. And I stood my grounds. If I allowed that but to, I didn't give her a discount. And this is a thought that did pop in my head because she actually went away. So she actually left my studio and went away without committing to the design. And then she rang me up 45 minutes later and said, I spoke to my husband and I want to go for it.
Nice.
So it was a different thought process because I explained to her that my time is valuable, and if you want the best out of me, discounts are not what happens. And if you want to do it yourself, I can offer you a workshop where I could teach you.
Nice.
You will have to do it yourself. So I changed it completely around on her. The buts will always, but I'm not good enough. Did you hear the success you had, or did you hear in your brain, but I'm not good enough? You heard the but I'm not good enough. So that's what that's about. And what was the second part of that question you asked? Oh, 3 things. Brain doesn't like 12 things to do because it creates overwhelm. If you give yourself no more than 3 things to do, and if one of those things is a really big thing, you break that down into 3 things. And then what you're doing is you're showing your brain that you can actually successfully achieve 3 things. So it's a win for your brain. Brain says, look at this. And then your brain is saying, oh, what can I do next? What can I do next? I could do another 3 things. And then like launching, there's 1,000 different angles in launching. And there's 1,000 different things. You've got Zooms, you've got this, you've got that, you've got content, you've got all these. If you went in there saying, hey, I'm going to do the whole live in the whole launch in the next 45 minutes with the whole list of 100 things to do, you're never going to do it. It creates overwhelm. So when you pull your brain back and keep things, we actually call it slow down to speed up.
That's what my whole launching system is about, is just having one launch priority per day. So then it can remove a whole bunch of that overwhelm and that kind of thing. So, yeah, which has definitely helped me for sure. And
it's helped me because you've helped me launch. And so it helps me, you not giving me a list of, have you done X, Y, Z, this. When you say, hey, can you just give me a bit of body copy on this? Hopefully it doesn't take you more than 45 minutes. Let me know if you're stuck. And that's like, yeah, I can do this. And most of the time it takes me 20 minutes.
Nice.
It takes me 10 minutes to get started and it takes me 10 minutes to write it. You can see how not having a huge list is giving me permission to breathe.
Okay, so there was some other stuff that I wanted to talk about with you in terms of, we've talked about bravery and some of the brave stuff that you're doing in your business. I wanted to talk a bit about your previous business, the one that you built to multi-6 figures in the IT industry. What was the bravest thing you had to do to build it to that level?
The first thing to build it to that level was actually having the confidence to, Tiff knows this saying from me, step off the cliff. I had to trust that my husband had my back and I had my husband's back. To explain that a little bit more, we were in business for 33 years. It's 33 and a half years now. And with that particular business, he had a $60,000 a year job that we were doing. We went from $60,000 a year to 10. We had a house. We had a child. Even worse than that, I decided to enroll my daughter into a private school that was going to cost me $4,000 a year. So guess what? We were living on $6,000 a year. So the bravest thing was to trust that it was okay to try. We did actually have Jared's dad to help us. So he'd been in business for 35 years. So I did ask him a lot of questions because I did not come from a family that started their own business. I came from a reasonably poor family. We had lots of things. The one thing we didn't have was money. We had other things. And starting a business while you've got a 2-year-old child, while you're trying to get her into a private school because you don't like the area that you're in, so you want her education was everything to me, and all these different things. To me, that was very, very, very brave. I can talk about another time which is further on in the business, where we've had people that have taken money from us and therefore our house was jeopardized. We could have both easily have given up and said, hey, we're going to go back, get 9-to-5 jobs and things like that. My husband didn't want a 9-to-5 job. We had the advantage of IT was his hobby. The fact that we were doing his hobby made him happy. The fact that we were doing IT, I knew nothing about IT. I knew nothing about computers. I knew nothing about any of this stuff. I knew nothing about running company books, talking to clients. I was always taught to be at the back and not be at the front, not advertise, not come forward. And suddenly my husband is putting me in the middle going, you've got this. So to me, that was very, very, very brave. I've got another story I can talk about where we got a $1 million contract, which required us all, actually it ended up about $1.65 million contract, but we also had to have contractors that I was in charge of that knew more stuff than me. We're talking about high-end databases being produced. They're asking me questions about what? When Jared says this and this and this, what should we do? And I'm just going, okay. In the beginning, it was very brave for me to say, now what do you think? Should we do? I'm not sure. Asking them their opinion rather than what we wanted for our company. And then within about 4.5 months, I changed that. No, we don't want to do it that way. We're doing it this way. Here's the stepping ladder. We need the bottom step. Let's just do this. We need this. And to me, to step from somebody that thought she didn't deserve to actually tell somebody that knew more than her what we wanted, to, no, sorry, I agree with what you're saying, but that's not the angle we're going. We want to go this way. So could you please do the database this way because it works better for the system we're developing. My husband heard me one day and goes, really? You really? And I said, you told me. You told me where we're going. You gave it to me in a list. You told me what I needed to know. And it was really funny. He goes, and Adrian listened to you? And I said, I think he was a bit shocked I stood up to him too. So that, to me, that was going from bravery to think I didn't deserve to talk to these people because they knew more to, hey, no, I've got the format that we're doing. We're not deviating. We deviated before and it didn't work. It cost us a few $1,000s. Do it this way.
So is that the process that happened? Like did you find yourself maybe not stepping forward in the beginning and then things fell in a heap and then it was like, here's why I have to step up? Is that how it went for you? Or
I don't think I actually thought it.
Yeah.
I was so much in the moment of being suddenly in control of a contract that I never thought we would get, to running 5 guys. I'll be in the real world. It is a little bit chauvinistic. So does the female really know what she's talking about? So I needed to get a little bit stronger. I needed to choose to, actually I take the back. I needed to choose to be stronger. I needed to trust that if I mucked up, Jared had my back. And I did muck up. You have no idea how often I mucked up. I'd send out an email saying, we're doing it XYZ, we're doing this. And then I'd CC Jared in and Jared goes, 5 is actually number 1 and number 1 is number 5. So can everybody reverse the order for me, please? And he just goes, I'm glad you sent the email out because now we've got conversations happening. Mm-hmm. It wasn't that I'd made a boo-boo. It was, hey, email's already gone. We can't take it back. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad you sent the email out because I forgot to do it. So because I was being proactive rather than sitting back going, I'm the little mouse in the background, that's what I did. And he never told me off for ever making a boo-boo. And that's how you work together with your partner. Mm-hmm. Well, when you've got a partner that works that way.
Why was it so valuable that you became the leader in that situation? Why was that so valuable, do you think?
It made me smile. And I know that seems a funny thing. It made me felt valued. It made me know that even though I don't know things, my opinion still matters. And to me, that was quite powerful, because when I grew up, and this is going back to mindset stuff, I was always told to be seen and not heard. And my opinion wasn't valued. For my husband to have the confidence in me that I didn't have, to want me to stand up and count, I'm just going, wow. He talked me into going back to school and getting a master's in too many things, because I always got told that I wasn't supposed to learn anymore. I was just supposed to be a mum and a wife. We've all heard that. We've all heard those stories. For me to stand up, it made me smile. Feelings and emotions create your beliefs. And if your beliefs believe that you don't deserve to stand up, you're not going to get out of your way.
Other than just the value to you, there was value to the business as well in you stepping into that role, right? So what was the value to the business from you doing that too?
Me stepping into that role allowed Jared to be Jared and do the jobs that he liked doing. He already thought IT was a hobby. And he knew a way of making lots of money out of his hobby. And for those that don't know, Jared, my husband, was a forester. So we really did a pivot. We really did. He used to protect the bush as an occupation. And we went into IT. He had time to grow the side of him that was really, really his expertise. And I had time to grow the side of me that I was my expertise, even though I always swore I'd never do it. Always swore I would never run a company. I was never good enough. I was only good enough to be employed by somebody else and follow their rules and regulations. And if I was yelled at, that's fine. It was part of being part of that company.
Wow. That is a huge shift, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And that was the other funny thing. I would have to learn programs. On Friday, he'd give me the program, and on Monday, I knew had to know how to do it. At that stage, I couldn't learn from my husband. I had the mindset of, he knows too much, so I'm not going to listen to him. Didn't kind of work. And he would give me a textbook and put it on the desk and said, we really need this. Can you see if this is profitable for our company to go down this line? It's just how we work. And he let me be arty. I love being arty. It suits me fine. I could do that. I could do the arty stuff.
Nice. Let's move on a little bit and just talk a little bit about handling failure, because part of doing brave things is obviously sometimes we leap off the cliff, and then not that failure is even a bad thing, but just I'm using the word failure because that's something that people will recognize. But basically when things don't go according to plan, and then can you tell me about a time where it maybe took multiple tries before something finally worked or succeeded to the way that you were thinking about or had planned in the beginning?
I can probably talk about my wedding planning industry, because in the beginning, I only sold textile art. Because of COVID, more people understood the value of the quality of artificial flowers that are out there. I was fighting a world of artificial flowers are garbage. They're revolting. They're yuck. And all these negative words were coming in because they all thought of a time when they weren't that good. They were thinking their grandma's toilet flowers, just to put it there. And that's what their mindset was about, of they weren't good enough. And as I was developing that side of my business, I realised that I was an amazing wedding planner and I was an amazing event stylist. So I kind of moved into the event styling side, that I still do my art and I still do my creative side to keep my brain fresh and things like that. Jared taught me to be a people person. So there's nothing better than being a wedding day coordinator and inviting 100 people in, or the last one was 140 people. I was in control of 140 people where I got them to smile. I was paid to make them smile. And that was a very big pivot for me, because that was my very first one. And 2 days beforehand, I went through the same thing. I'm not good enough. I shouldn't be doing this. Why did I even think I could coordinate somebody's wedding? Why? And then I went back to the time of, I organised 5 guys that kept telling me I didn't know what I was talking about. So I channeled that inner self. I don't think that answers your question. I think I went off sideways.
Yeah, I mean, you're going along the right sort of lines, but I was sort of thinking about times where, hey, I mean, I'm coming from launching side of things, but it's like, hey, I'm going to do a launch in this way, and then you do it and it doesn't quite work out as expected, or sort of, and then it's like, okay, I've got to try that again. Like, one of your amazing strengths is your ability to keep going in the face of things not working out as well as we plan sometimes. And I just wanted to sort of share that with other people to inspire them the way that you're always inspiring me in that way. Yeah.
So probably BBK mentoring is probably the one we could go for. When I first started my mentoring company, I thought that I knew what people wanted. So I did a couple of launches. I did a couple of unsuccessful launches of trying to find my voice within my neuro-coaching side, and thinking that I knew what they wanted without asking them a question. So I thought I should tell people what to think, how to feel, how to act, what their beliefs were. And then, of course, people didn't come to me because I was coming from me, and I side. The second I did a switch and suddenly realised that I needed to shut up, stop saying words, and just ask a couple of questions. And to have the power to shut up in part of launching, I found was very, very powerful. So if I made a boo-boo and I tried to launch a business in pricing your products, people wanted to know that, but they didn't want to pay for it. They wanted all that information for free. That doesn't keep my electricity on. So did I keep going that side? That is how I get people into my business side, into my neuro-coaching side. It's my freebie. It's so unimportant now. People want to know where they're, especially artists. I was aiming everything toward artists. And a lot of artists don't make money, so they're not prepared to pay me. So, again, not listening. So needing to do a bit of a pivot. It was still the same thing. I was still attracting the same people. I was attracting the people that wanted to change things rather than the people that just wanted a freebie. So I had to do pivots. And that's what we all suffer from. People wanting to do pivots, people wanting to freebies and not making your times valuable. I had to do a few pivots from there.
Yes, so true. It's really interesting how you talk about that, just because, like, even from my own experience, like when you've had, like, I had a lot of experience in business, and my parents own their own business, and then I always planned to open my own business. So when I got to the point of, hey, wanting to turn around and help people and coaching and that kind of thing, I mean, I'd had some people ask me for help, but when I went into doing the content, I definitely went in with a bit more of a, here's what I think people want to hear, but it didn't always line up with actually what they wanted or needed from me. So it was definitely, again, multiple tries of putting stuff out there, seeing things not landing quite so well and things like that, and then having to turn around and keep going. It's like, how do you keep wanting to keep going in those things? Like, do you ever get to, like, have you ever had a time where it's just like, oh, this is just, I just want to give up, or have had that thought cross your mind at all, or anything like that? Or
I'll be honest to people. This morning in the shower, I went away for the weekend and I've come back, and I am a little bit fatigued. I will be the first one. I've come back. I'm thinking, yes. And in the shower this morning, I just decided, sorry, this is all too hard. I got out of the shower, washed the water away and said, okay, you've had that thought, move on. So so I'll be real to people. It crosses my mind. I've just done a lot of brain science on myself to say, hey, now allow those feelings to wash down the drain. So I was in tears in the shower this morning. I'll be honest, I'll be to people. There wasn't any logic in there. One of my girls in my pod asked me a question of making $1 million company, and suddenly those thoughts of, I'm not good enough, I can't teach her, I'm going to discourage her, she's not going to be able to get her business, therefore I'm going to fail her. And I had to call myself out. I had to do a lot of journaling. I'll be in the real world. Those ideas do cross through my head. It's just that I don't give them the power anymore to stop me And so therefore I work on making me a better person to see that I'm having those thoughts and also remove those thoughts. Don't let them take over me.
That's so much the work in business. I know there's marketing and there's strategy and everything, but the keeping your mindset and just understanding that those thoughts that can come up, they're not necessarily true. Like sometimes your brain just has these thoughts and it's trying to keep you safe, or it just doesn't want to do the hard work that day. So it's like, hey, this isn't going to work. Let's just not do it, or something. Like that's sometimes what I get, and have to sort of journal and work through it and be like, no, if I want to achieve what I want to achieve, I've got to do these tasks. And
well, this is where I come back to stepping back again. If those thoughts become too dominant within my head, I take my dogs for a walk. I have two amazing little huskies that I take for a walk and get punished because my brain's not working. So therefore they've got to come out. I listen to Audible books so that I hear stories. I'm very much into science fiction and stuff like that. I'll do anything to interrupt those thoughts that my brain is trying to keep me safe and familiar from, because they're not going to serve me. They're not going to let me get out of bed next week or tomorrow or today or whatever. So it's just interesting how the brain works when it just decides. We call it in the industry, your brain is throwing a toddler temper tantrum. That's what we call it. It's just throwing a temper tantrum.
So true. If you think back to some of your past experiences where maybe that's come up, if you'd have listened to that voice, what wouldn't have happened in your life if you'd have listened to that voice at different times? Like obviously we don't know what the future holds. So thinking about the shower this morning, we don't know. Or maybe we can say, hey, if I listen to that voice, I'm never going to make it to X, Y, and Z. But
if I listened to that voice, I would not have turned up today. I would not be here. I would have gone back to bed. I would have decided that it was better to be safe, covered up in a blanket, than turn up and put myself vulnerably out here to your audience. I just wouldn't have done it. I've had some things that have been a hiccup in my past life. A lot of times when hiccups come to me, I go to art. So art is my full stop. I didn't work on any businesses for 18 months at one stage there because I was in a position where I didn't feel like I deserved to have things. And the other things that I wouldn't have is I would have lost my house if I didn't eventually get back into work. I would have, I'd not have my two rescue huskies. I wouldn't have my apartment in Port Melbourne. I wouldn't have these things in my life because I would have lost them all because my inner voice was greater than my outer voice.
Oh, that's powerful. The inner voice was greater than the outer voice. I feel I need to repeat that one.
And I will actually repeat that. Shower this morning, brushing hair. What on earth? And by the way, I was not polite the way I said this. I do not swear online. What on earth do you think you don't deserve to? What? Just put your clothes on. You put your shoes and your undies and your socks on every day. Just get going, put them on, and stop allowing your inner voice to stop you from getting out of bed. That's actually what I said to myself this morning. And I actually said it to myself in the shower. And I talk in the mirror. Really? Really? And the brain likes to hear your voice, whereas a lot of people say they don't. I don't like the way my voice sounds. Well, your brain does. I can tell you now, your brain actually likes listening to you. So calling your brain out and telling it's doing naughty things actually is really good because you're actually vocalizing your thoughts. So therefore your brain can hear what you're saying, and your brain needs to see before it will hear.
Your brain needs to see before you can hear.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's why, and Tiff knows this for those, I'm obsessed with the pen. When you use a keyboard, your brain sees nothing. It's just tech. When you write it down with a pen, you interrupt those thoughts and your brain can see the words on the page. Because when you use a keyboard, you're trying to correct your errors as you're going along. When you use a pen or a pencil, because I'm a designer, so I love pencils, I have 55 billion of them, that pencil is actually really saying words. It's like I don't type out my Facebook Lives. My VA does it. All my Facebook Lives are handwritten. That's the way I get into my own head to say, and I can tell you the words I write on my Facebook Live and never want to say out. It's just a start.
Thank you for that powerful stuff that you just said. Just know that it's going to be on my mind that this is so weird. Normally I listen to podcasts. I'm not usually in the recording of them. And it's like, it's still getting to me. And I'm going to be thinking about that all day, that you need to see before you can hear. I wanted to ask next, what brave things do you have planned for the next 3 to 6 months?
Next 3 months, I want to start my membership in my wedding planning so that I can get couples together to join as a partnership, because just because you're planning a wedding, you don't want to be a lone wolf. The more people you have with me, and everybody's got the same problems. They're just designing something different. Any person that says they haven't got fears is just hiding from their fears. Because they do have those little thoughts in, oh, should I really do it this way? Or should I, if I do it this way, I might waste money. So you've got these little natterings in your head. When you're part of a group, then people will have somebody else to say, hey, my brain, my mouth, my head, they won't say their brain, that's mine. And I don't use those words in the wedding industry, I'll tell you now, because it's not words that they want to hear. I will actually ask them, what were you thinking about? And when they can get into a group and say, my sister said this, my mum said this, how do I cope with it and things like that. So the power of a group. I want to actually develop a similar thing for my business people, attacking the wedding industry, because there are so many people, so many vendors out there that it's still same words, same problems. They just want to say things. They just want somebody to support them and not give them opinions and allow them to, how do I do this? Oh, I had a bride that attacked me, and I feel like bridezillas, we've all heard of them. I don't use that word. I've never had one. Maybe it's because I use brain-based science on them when they walk in the door. I don't know. We've all got fears and anxieties. So that's another thing I want to do in the next 6 months. My aim for the next 6 months is to put it out there, earn $500,000.
Nice.
Pitchfork in the sand is I want to pay off the end of my house. It's not got a huge loan on it. I want to pay off the end of my house. That's for me, and I. The most important thing along this journey is, because that will happen when I serve. And if I start with serving, these people will have what they need.
Yes. I love that. The starting with serving, that's definitely something that, we were talking before about sometimes those thoughts that come up about, hey, maybe you shouldn't be doing this anymore. That when I switch into the serving or the who can I help, who am I impacting today, just got to impact one person, that helps me switch into some of that kind of stuff and getting into the planning for the future and getting excited about it and all that kind of stuff. Are you feeling excited about all those things you've got coming up? Or
I'm not so much excited about that. I'm more excited about my vision that I've got, that in part of my brain priming is I want to buy a block of land, an acre or two, that I can put big 6-foot fences around it and have a dam and have my little tin shack on it with my little outdoor fire pit and things like that, so that I can see my dogs running through grasses, hopefully away from the snakes, and jumping in and out of the dam and getting dirty and wet. So the money is incidental. Me seeing that dream is more powerful.
Nice.
That's what I want. I dream about that. I know exactly. I even know what colour I'm painting the kitchen. I design this all the time.
Nice.
And I want that to happen by the end of the year.
Do you connect with how you're going to feel when that's all?
I can tell you what I will be smelling, the wood I will have on my fire as I sit around the fire and watch my dogs, my wet, smelly dogs, come up to me next to the fire while I'm cooking my steak on the outdoor fire and eating it in my hands.
Wow.
I have got into that much detail of I can tell you what I will cook on my fire. The smell, it comes down to I know what it's going to look like. I know what it's going to feel like. I know what it's going to hear like. Dogs splashing in water and just woofing and having fun and chasing each other. And if there's a rabbit around, I hope they don't catch it. But having that rabbit to chase and things like that, just to me, yes, that's what I want.
That not only sounds amazing, that just I can feel it too when you talk about it. Does that make sense? I can just,
Well, think about sitting in front of that fire pit. Okay, this is me getting into vision-based stuff. You sit in that fire pit and it's not summer because we're not allowed to have fires in summer. And and we're sitting in front of the fire pit and the heat is coming off the fire pit and you've got a blanket around you and a little pillow and you're laying back in the seat in your little layback chair and you can smell the eucalyptus on the fire and your meat smells a little bit eucalyptusy and all these sorts of things, and the heat coming off and the little sparkly little flames glowing in the evening sunset.
Wow. Yeah.
As you can tell, I've done a lot of vision with this and I work on it every day because that's what keeps me going.
Wow. The question about your plans for the next few months, what's the biggest challenge or obstacle do you think you'll have to overcome to create that amazing vision that you've painted for us?
The thing about it is what I'm classified as, some of the things that I do, especially because I'm trying to put brain-based science within the wedding industry, is it's blue water. And what I explain by that is very few people do it. So therefore, it's a new audience. So teaching them this is what they need rather than what they want, through what they want to get what they need. So we've all heard those words. If you were getting married, because both of us are married, so if you were getting married and I was saying, oh, your mindset is getting in your road, you're going to run. So finding the words that resonate with them that don't mean what I'm actually saying.
Okay, that don't mean what you're actually saying.
If I'm talking to somebody, what can I do? Oh, how are you? Oh, how are you feeling today? If I was to put that in, what's happening in your brain at the moment? What are you telling yourself? Is your mindset getting in the road? That is very much business coaching.
Yeah.
That is not couples. So I have to develop two worlds. For my vendors, they understand the mindset stuff. So they're used to being abused by some people because it is part of our industry. It's really embarrassing to actually say that. Most businesses have somebody that has attacked them in the last 12 months, verbally or physically.
Wow.
Having a bride too scared stiff to stand up for her opinion, and she said, I'm just so stressed, my brain's blowing up. She doesn't think that way. Actually, she does think that way. She doesn't use those words. So that's going to be my complications at the moment because I want to educate, because everything I teach them to plan a wedding, they can take into a marriage. That's the power of it. They just don't know that's what they want. That's what they need, I should say. They want a pretty event that people will talk about for months on end.
It's really interesting, actually. It's the same when helping other coaches and business owners too. And I'm always sort of helping my clients with this too. As coaches, we know so much more than the people we're helping. So we talk about it in this way where we think that people know what we know, but it doesn't connect because they're using different words, or they think, oh, no, I don't need to know about mindset. I just need more income. Yet it could be the thought of I'm not good enough that is holding them back. I'm getting the income, right? And it's being able to connect. Yeah, so powerful.
In the neuroscience world, we call that money mindset. So we do a lot of concentrating on money mindset because I'm not good enough. My husband says I shouldn't do this. My mum says I should stick to a 9-to-5 job. My mum told me I was not supposed to be educated and after year 12 and I'll be the most amazing wife and mother. That was my job. I now have more education than every person in my family because my husband said, you are not limited to just being a mum and a wife. I didn't know what I was doing at that stage because I didn't know I was working on my mindset of trying to erase all the stories I was told as a child. Yet my husband said, you want to go back to uni and get a master's? Go for it. You want to do this? Yeah, go for it. I would recommend to everybody not to go and do their master's when their daughter's in year 11 and just about to start the two major senior years of their life. But I got distinctions. So it was interesting. So having somebody, and this is where I come in as a business coach of, I'm a support system. This is where you come in as a launching coach saying, hey, I've got your back. When the technology goes, I've probably seen it before. And that's just being 5 steps ahead of people. That's what I call, all I've got to do is keep 5 steps ahead of the person I'm helping. And I don't always know things, I can assure you. Sometimes they go, okay, don't worry about it, I'll fix it later.
Okay, so I want to say thank you so much for all the amazing time you have spent talking with myself and and us and the listeners here. So just it's been amazing sort of seeing through your eyes at bravery through your business and life, and talking about fear and how things were valuable and worth it and all of that sort of stuff. Just before we sort of sign off and you tell people how they can get in touch with you, I've just got kind of one last question, and that's, what would you say to a listener who's about to do their next brave thing in their business, but they're hesitating or they're waiting for the right time?
Okay, I'll use it in relationship to my brides. They're about the doors. I'll give you a picture because I love pictures. They're standing and the doors of the church are closed, and they say that they are too scared stiff to walk through the doors. I ask them to take 3 steps backwards, look into my eyes, close your eyes, breathe, imagine taking just 3 steps. And what would happen if you just take 3 steps? And as you open your eyes, feel your shoulders fall down and see yourself taking those 3 steps. I then say, are you ready for me to open the doors? And they say, yes, you can open them. Are you ready for your 3 steps? I said, start. And most of them forget that I told them to take 3 steps because they see their partner down, their fiancé down the end of the aisle, and they start rolling. Those 3 steps allow you to roll. So step back, breathe, and know you only have to start with 1 step because that's movement.
That is amazing. You only have to start with 1 step because that is movement. I love it. I love that. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, all these things I'm going to be thinking about, not just today, probably for the rest of the week. How can people get in touch with you?
You can contact me at beryl@foreveryours.com.au. You can find me on Facebook, Forever Yours Flowers. You can find me on Instagram, Forever Yours Flowers. You will see it as Forever Yours Flowers and event planning because I have done a little bit of pivoting, or you can DM me.
Thank you so much, Beryl. It has been amazing to talk with you, and this has been so much fun. I hope that it has been fun for you as well. And
it has. I like this.
Yeah.
You can invite me back. I like talking this stuff.
Awesome. All right. Thanks so much. Thanks for listening to the Business Bravery podcast. Has this episode inspired you to do something brave? Even if it's only send a difficult email, please share it with me on Instagram or other social media channels. Feel free to tag me at Tiffany G Studios. That's TIFFANY. G for golf, STUDIOS, no spaces, no underscores, etc. Or you can use the hashtag Business Bravery Podcast so that I can cheer you on, and together we can inspire other coaches and course creators to do brave things in their business and life. Now, I'm Tiffany, and I'll leave you with this one last thing. What's one brave thing you're going to do today? It doesn't have to be big. Even the smallest steps can create the most massive results. So again, feel free to share it with me either publicly or privately so that I can cheer you on. Okay, that's it from me. Until next time, bye for now.